So, this is one of those good for the soul movies you've done.
It really is.
How did you first come into knowing of the family, and how did you pitch creating a documentary about their journey?
Actually, the story was brought to us, myself and my co-director Daniel Raw at Fishbowl Films. We are Canadian friend at MRC, Amit Day, essentially had optioned the family's story. He'd already reached out to them, said, we'd like to make a documentary on you. They brought us in, and we already knew about the film. We'd read about it on The Guardian or CNN, and so we were very much brought in to tell the story. That's how it happened. And for us, what was exciting is that it's easy as professional filmmakers, not easy, but yes, we can always paint a beautiful backdrop of the natural world. That's something as trained professionals we can do. But what interested us about the film is that when we met the family, there was a much deeper emotional journey about what does it mean to be very early in the process of dealing with a complex medical diagnosis. It doesn't need to be retinitis pigmentosa, but you're looking at a future that you thought you had and that it's changed. And how do you deal with that? How do you respond? And that was the deeper truth there that we wanted to explore.
100%. And listen, I want to tap into that emotion actually. What were some of the difficulties you faced when you were shooting this movie, and how did you overcome them?
I think the biggest challenge for us is working with children. I think firstly we had to make sure that the children connected to us and that they wanted to be part of the film. I think you have two challenges principally, not only that the children feel comfortable and that you're not ethically overstepping your boundaries. So there was a lot of collaboration on our part with the parents to ensure, okay, if we're going into difficult emotional territory, do we even go there? And if we do, how do we do that in a way? We're not therapists. We're not people who should be pushing our subjects to feel or think in ways they're not ready to do. So I think that was a very significant challenge on the film, especially working with children. And I think the other side of working with children is the kids don't follow the narrative logic of everyday life. They don't follow the narrative logic of filmmaking. And what we realized is when the kids don't act in ways we expect, it's actually a benefit to the film. But that took a while to realize. And so our film is filled with these moments of irreverence and beautiful child silliness that may not advance the plot, but in a deeper sense, they're part of the joy of being with children. And I think once we led into that made the film stronger.
And so that's something I actually want to talk to you about as well, because this isn't one of those films like you can make in a traditional sense. You go into pre-production, you write your storyboard, you conceive your themes and ideas. You've almost got to be in the moment with this. So how did you, because you've got organic things like the kids jumping into the water, like it's just a spare of the moment childlike thing, isn't it? Oh, I'm going to jump into the water, mommy and daddy, right? How did you make sure, as you said, without overstepping the boundaries, that you were there at the right moment, but without interfering with the moment? Because that must have been damn hard.
It was very hard. I think one of the things that I believe as a filmmaker is if you're making a story like this, you have to give part of yourself to your subjects in a way. And I think that if you're asking your subjects to be vulnerable, and in a sense being vulnerable is allowing the filmmakers to be in the moment with you and not feel the pressure to perform. I think as filmmakers we tried to be a little bit emotionally vulnerable too and talk to them in a very professional way, of course, about who we were and the people we were. And I think sharing that vulnerability and humanity is a powerful way to set the tone of the film and also set the possibilities of the film. And I think once you've connected with your subjects like that, in the best case scenario, real life can unfold with the minimal of fuss and the minimum of our intervention in the film.
What was all the locations you visited? And actually, speaking of that, how was it? Were you sort of travelling in the background with them? Were you coming to join them? Or?
Yeah, coming to join them. We, for budgetary reasons and all sorts of things, we couldn't be with them the whole trip. We joined them 6 months in, and we had to be very reactive because the family chose their locations at quite late in the process. So, Nepal for one example, we were climbing a mountain. We knew we were going 36 hours before. Can you imagine production having to rally 36 hours before to send a crew up a mountain? So there was
I mean, that doesn't pass health and safety.
My DP the DP of the film gets the call. He's at his cousin's birthday saying, you got to leave for Nepal in 24 hours. And he's like, okay, guess we're going. So it was we're a very reactive process in that sense, and there was a sense in which we needed to be available. But I'd say in the narrative sense, we tried to choose locations that were kind of universal in the sense of when you think of the mountains are an obvious visual metaphor for resilience and overcoming challenges. When we think of the jungle, the Amazon rainforest, we think of a kind of psychic landscape. When we think of the desert, we think of Jesus or other historical figures spending 40 days on a spiritual pilgrimage.
Yeah.
So we tried to find places that could be the emotional and kind of universal backdrops for the themes we were exploring.
Interesting. So there was obviously some thematic ideation that went into this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't want to over-egg it. This is also, in documentary, as you know, the editors are very much helping to refine and craft the original ideas of the story you had, and I don't want to overemphasize that. That was, I think with Verite and largely observational cinema like ours, you can put the palette down or you can put the backdrop down, and then you have to see what real life gives you.
What's your favourite filming location?
The thing that stuck with me the most was waking up at 5 a.m. one morning and being in the White Desert and just going outside and looking around and hearing absolutely nothing and feeling like I was absolutely alone in the world. And it was one of the most beautiful, it's got nothing to do with the film, but one of the most beautiful personal experience that I loved, and thinking as a filmmaker, I can't believe I'm here and telling this story. That's the one that sticks with me.
Guys, Silver Screen Dudes, as always, please do like the video and be sure you go and watch this movie. It's beautiful, it's profound, and if you're a parent out there, it's going to hit you hard. So go and support this film. It's a beautiful work of art. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.